Sup guys, it's Tealus here back at True Shot Lodge for the final time. This is the final video. We're looking at part 2 of Marksmanship Hunters, taking a look at their PvE and PvP talents coming to them in World of Warcraft Legion. We've already gone through their abilities and their artifact weapon, Thaz-Dara, Legacy of the Windrunner. So in this video, we'll be looking at their PvE and PvP talents. However, I do want to mention before I get into the bulk of this video, there's one thing I forgot to mention about artifact weapon, Thaz-Dara, and part of that is because I haven't quite figured out where this comes from, but if you look in the top right hand corner, I have something called wind running, which is Thaz-Dara's winds increase movement speed by 25%. It's at 5 stacks, and as you can see, I actually am moving faster. I'm not sure where this comes from. I just know that I have it with Thaz-Dara, and I've always had it from the very beginning. And it stacks up to 5 times. I believe when you get in combat or you take damage, maybe when you actually take damage, the stacks fall off, and then they have to build up once again to full maximum stacks. I'm not sure how they build up to full maximum stacks, whether it's through mobs or whether it's through just not being hit for a certain amount of time. But I've always enjoyed this movement speed buff, and honestly, it's one of the reasons why I enjoyed leveling as a Marksmanship Hunter, is because I always had this 20% movement speed buff anywhere I went out inside the world. So I just want to get that out of the way and let you guys know it's here. I'm not quite sure if it's active in PvP. I would imagine that it would be active in PvP. It's all part of the artifact weapon. Other artifact little kind of tricks that are part of not tricks, but I don't know how to describe them, but all the other little things that come out of artifact weapons have been mostly active in PvP, so I see no reason why wind running is not, and it plays into the whole wind burst, having 50% increased movement speed for your allies, and being able to just create range between you and your opponent. I expect it to be there as well. So just wanted to go ahead and give you a heads up. A little thing I missed. I do not know where it comes from. Other than that, you just get it when you have Thaz-Dara. I don't know if it's in the description at all. Yeah, it's not in the description at all either. So I don't know where it comes from, but there's no complaining here. 25% increased movement speed is pretty awesome, especially while leveling and in PvP. Especially when you're trying to keep distance. So, with that being said, let's look at the PvE talent tree. So, as I mentioned before, I'm actually on a 110 character on the non-PvP realms, so the PvP talents will look a little bit different as we go through them. But going into the PvE talents, let's look at the first tier. I mentioned that Blizzard originally wanted this to be a petless class, and then they realized that people really like having pets even on Marksmanship Hunters, just as many as the people who actually don't like having a pet. So they decided to bring back Lone Wolf back, and it's now 15 tier. Like, you can get it as soon as possible, which I'm perfectly fine with. It no longer gives you a buff, so that you can you can have a raid buff, because raid buffs have been pretty much removed. So I wouldn't really worry about not having that. It's just flat damage increased by 20%, and you can no longer use Call Pet. I honestly will be using this. I haven't while leveling, because it's just too strong while leveling to have a tank pet out there to deal the damage for you, to soak the damage. You can revive them from a distance so that you don't have to worry about them. It's just always been better to have a pet while leveling, so I've been using Careful Aim, but Lone Wolf is definitely what I would use in PvP, and in PvE it might possibly very well be the most popular option. Careful Aim is what I've been using. This used to be an ability, now it is a talent. Aim Shot, Arcane Shot, Mark Shot, and Multi-Shot have a 20% increased critical strike chance against targets above 80% health. Those critical strikes deal an additional 30% damage over 8 seconds. So Careful Aim is still there, it's just now a talent. And then also, an ability that's still here is Steady Focus. Steady Focus, using Arcane Shot or Multi-Shot 3 times in a row, increases your focus regeneration by 25% for 10 seconds. The way it used to be is using Steady Shot twice in a row increases focus regeneration for you and your pet by 50%. This stunk because Steady Shot was a cast time, and that was really frustrating to get 2 of them off in a row and deal with that. I always went for Thrill of the Hunt. It was way more fun, and so I'm glad that it's an option here. that I can take if I want, but at the very least, if I decide to take it, it's with instant cast abilities. So let's go ahead and just show this right here. Let me burn all of my um, focus. Once again, I have no clue where those Bloodstalkers come from. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this twice in a row. And then we can see my focus regeneration goes up much quicker. So I'm not quite sure how effective that'll be. It doesn't last for very long. It only lasts for a few seconds. Steady shot used to last for 10 seconds. This one now it still lasts for 10 seconds, but it doesn't look like it's actually showing up for 10 seconds. That's bombardment that's showing up. So maybe it just bombardment has the same icon. That's gonna drive me nuts. There it is. Focus regeneration increased by 25%. Sorry, it doesn't have the same icon. It has the same colors. So, sorry about that. Steady focus is still showing up, and it's just twice in a row. You have increased focus regeneration for that time period. You can get your aim shots off and still generate focus at actually an absurd rate. Really good. But you have to realize that you'll have a pet out for that. So it's going to be kind of up to you on whether or not you actually like that playstyle and whether or not you want to actually stick with it. Stop combat. Thank you. Okay, so I mentioned in the last video that a lot of survival hunter abilities have now become marksmanship abilities. So survival used to be this, it was a different type of range damage. Beastmaster was all about your pets. Survival was all about nature damage, and then marksmanship had this silly mechanic about which, by the way, I just realized my wind running just went down from 5 stacks. So I believe it may be in combat. Yes, when you go into combat, your 5 stacks of wind runner, your movement speed goes away. So now we know where that comes, how it actually goes away. Now, before I got sidetracked there with noticing that buff, you had nature damage on survival hunters, and you had this stupid, standstill sniper type thing that was going on with marksmanship. And so when they got rid of survival and they made it melee only, they did not want to just get rid of all of its abilities, because there was a lot of really cool abilities in there. So what they have done is they've taken a lot of those and put them in the talent tree. Some of them I love, like lock and load. You guys have seen it appear many times. Many times, and it's just ranged auto attacks have an 8% chance to trigger lock and load, causing your next 2 aim shots to cost no focus, and be instant. This is awesome. I love having instant cast aim shots, especially when you have a lot of damage coming out. I'm trying to get an auto shot will proc it here in a second, so I'll just keep firing at this target, and an auto shot will eventually proc it, and you'll see it's pretty strong. Option here on the right is called True Aim. Each successive, there's your proc on lock and load right there. It looks a little weird seeing the explosion, because lock and load used to be all about explosives and so forth, and it now affecting aim shot is kind of weird, but the name isn't too far off. So with that, we have True Aim. Each successive arcane shot or aim shot fired at the target increases the damage of those shots you deal by 2%, stacking up to 10 times. I'm not sure about this, to be honest. I just don't see its usage being very useful in PvE or PvP. I don't know. Let's take a chance here and let's just use True Shot, and let's go ahead and spam Arcane Shot and see what we can get out of this. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use them consecutively. So as long as you're spamming Aim Shot enough, and you're using it consistently, it will stack up to 10 times, which gives you a 20% damage buff on your aim shot, which equates to 27,000 damage, compared to something like aim shot. That's really not that much. Aim shot's dealing 70,000 damage with 2 vulnerabilities on it. So really, I'm not really sure how this will be that strong. I mean, we can try using multiple aim shots in a row, but very quickly you're going to find yourself out of mana, and it's going to be very difficult to actually keep those up on the target. Oh, actually, I misspoke. So I must have read this wrong. So I was under the impression that it would be individually, like aim shot would stack it up, and then arcane shot would separately stack it up. It seems both of them stack it. So If you're using aim shot and arcane shot a lot, you will be able to have this permanent 20% damage buff for your mark shot, your aim shot, and everything, as long as you're constantly keeping them up. That's actually pretty powerful and useful. And I can see that being taken because of that. Especially in PvE setting, you're basically going to be using aim shot, arcane shot, mark shot all the time. That's basically all you're going to be doing. In PvP, maybe not as much. PvE, yes. PvP, not as much. But since arcane shot is instant cast, it's not out of the question to keep it up and keep it there. So it's something that PvPers could easily take as well. With that, let's look at Black Arrow. Black Arrow is back over from basically from survival. They've given it to us. They've given us basically the main staples of survival: Hunter, Black Arrow, and Explosive Shot. We'll get to Explosive Shot when we get to 60 tier, but Black Arrow now is a little bit different. Fires a black arrow at the target, dealing 68,000 shadow damage over 8 seconds, and summoning a dark minion to taunt it for the duration. When you kill an enemy, the remaining cooldown on Black Arrow is reset. So this is actually pretty cool, and I actually use this for a little bit. If you really decide to go Lone Wolf, this could be your way to level as well. So I hit this, and a little Dark Minion pops up. Very similar to, I think, the Dark Ranger in Warcraft 3. I think that's kind of where Black Arrow gets its start. And it now more functions like that from that era, I guess you could say. I really do miss, I guess this boar is a dark minion. That's kind of weird. So, I really did miss that. I really do miss the Black Arrow change that actually was going to happen in Mists of Pandaria, but they never went through with it, and I kind of wish it was like that. But this is still pretty good. It's a dot, and it gives you, you know, a minion to get out there and deal damage. Theory crafters are going to have to look through this row and say, okay, which one's the best. I think for leveling, though, if you're going to go with Lone Wolf, Black Arrow is something that's really useful to have, because you can basically always have something taunted while you deal damage to the target, and you can keep damage off of you, which is pretty important. Though be careful when you start getting into AoE situations, because that's when things can get pretty nasty. Having a pet out, there's nothing better than feign deathing and having all your aggro reset to your pet, and not having to worry about it. That's basically why I went without Lone Wolf while leveling. In the 45 tier, post haste works just as it does on live. This is one of the very, very few talents that it still remains from the old talent tree that was available to hunters in World of Warcraft and Warlords of Draenor. Legion, this one brings it back. Disengage frees you from all movement impairing effects for increases your movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds, so nothing has changed there. It is now up a few tiers, but it's, I mean, really, 45 tiers is perfectly fine. I'd much rather have Lone Wolf at 15 tier than Post Haste. Far Strider, this is a little bit different. Far Strider used to be in as a talent somewhere or something. It's now here as a passive talent in your Marksmanship tree. Your ability critical strikes have a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on disengage. So if you're hitting a lot of, I mean, let's test this here. Darn, I got in combat. Okay, let's test this here. If I can get out of combat real quick, thank you. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run up here, I'm going to use disengage. I'm going to use aim shot spam because I can, and we will see if I can get disengage to drop down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Disengage back up again, and then I can go from there. So if you're using something like aim shot in PvP, you know, remember, if there's a lot of people in the area, aim shot is just as good as arcane shot at creating building up focus if there's like 4 targets in the area. Or sorry, as long as there's 3 targets in the area, multi-shot is just as good as aim shot, as arcane shot is building up your focus. Yes, your damage won't be as good, but considering that you have bombardment, your damage ends up being somewhat, you know, decent comparatively to aim shot. So if you want some mobility, aim shot's the way to go. Because you can possibly get, there's another reset on disengage right there. Just take note of that. Honestly, I would probably go with, you know, using this as well. It's a pretty strong ability. I've generally always done post haste, even on live. I always went with post haste over narrow escape and crouching Tiger Hidden Chimera. um, I think I was one of the few. I think most people went with Narrow Escape. They like that lockdown. You know, I'm kind of leaning towards Far Strider this time around. We'll see how it goes. The last option here is Dash. Increases the duration of aspect of the cheetah by 3 seconds. Right now it lasts for 90% for 3 seconds and then additional 30% for 9 seconds. Let me double check and make sure that doesn't add on to the 90%. It does. So it adds on to both. So you now have a 90% increased movement speed for 6 seconds, which is really awesome. And then it drops down to 30% for the next 12 seconds. So you have a lot of, remember I've said Dash is kind of like your replacement for Ice Trap. This makes it pretty potent. So I really do like that. The only problem with this is that, you know, Aspect of the Cheetah is on 3-minute cooldown and Ice Trap was like a 24-second cooldown. So just be careful when you use this, but that is definitely an option. I think Far Strider is my favorite out of this though, especially when you count on what multi-shot can do for Marksmanship Hunter. With that being said, let's look at the 60 tier. We have Sentinel. Sentinel applies Hunter's Mark to all enemies near the target. You have 2 charges on this, and I'll just pop this right here, and then I can use Mark Shot, and as you can see, I can use Mark Shot right off the bat. And right there. Right off the bat, I had a multi-shot proc, Mark Shot, there's another multi-shot proc. So, it's useful to have. It's got a recharge of 20 seconds. I personally am not the biggest fan of this because it's not like Mark Shot does insane damage. You know, it's not like a proc. I can't really give you a good example of a proc that like would come up and then just do massive damage. I guess maybe Warrior's Overpower back in the day when Overpower would come up and you just like, man, I just got hit by a truck and it was from Overpower. I don't see it being like that. I don't see Mark Shot like that. Like, Mark Shot is a proc that's, yeah, nice to have, but it's definitely not that potent. So, Sentinel's great, but I think these other options are better. Well, let's get to Patient Sniper first. This is what I had active in the first video, and I had to kind of go back and turn it off so that I could give you Mark Shot's, you know, kind of main intent. This is something that I see PvPers taking. I don't think PvEers will take this at all because your damage basically will be cut in half, but at the same time, it only lasts 6 seconds instead of 30 seconds. And I will say it's really difficult, it's really difficult to keep this 6-second stack up. So I can put Patient Sniper on it, and so now when you become vulnerable from Mark Shot, damage taken from Mark Shot and Aim Shot is increased by 150% and lasts up to 6 times. So remember, you only get vulnerable if you get the auto shot proc, like I did right there, from Aim Shot to get Hunter's Mark on the target. Then you get Mark Shot to get vulnerable. Okay? And then your Aim Shot can deal lots of damage. Okay? That's the buff of it here. And it lasts for 6 seconds. It's more burst damage. However, you cannot, you know, chain it as well. Because, you know, the whole idea of, you know, before is like, okay, I've chained it, I have vulnerability on the target, and right now I got it off again, I'm able to use Mark Shot again, I missed it right there. And it actually came up pretty soon. So 6 seconds is a little too little, and that's because it's not meant to, I guess you could say, it's not meant to be a persistent buff, like your normal Mark Shot, your normal vulnerability debuff. It's instead meant to be more burst damage. So this is something I really only see in PvP. This is not something I will see in PvE. I think they will stick with it, with what they have, and they'll go with Sentinel to get Hunter's Mark immediately, maybe for a full AoE damage burst or something on a AoE fight or something else, or they'll choose Explosive Shot. Explosive Shot has been changed. It is no longer the same. It is a skill shot. Fires a slow-moving munition directly forward. Activating this ability a second time detonates the shot, dealing 171,000 fire damage to all enemies within 8 yards based on proximity. So, this is a lot of fun. I probably wouldn't use this in PvP just because it's a skill shot, and skill shots are really difficult in PvP. Lag, latency, all kinds of stuff. Interfering with it makes it difficult, but in PvE it could be useful. So you can see right there, and I missed it right there, being the chump that I am. So I'll let it come off of cooldown so you can see it again, but it explodes basically, you explode it yourself on the target. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I kind of miss my old explosive shot, but they didn't want to get rid of it. So they brought it back. It's going to have AoE potential. I honestly only expect this to see in PvE. With a PvE boss that does not move very often. So that's where I would expect explosive shot to be used. So PvEers, I expect to use Sentinel or explosive shot. PvPers, I expect to use Patient Sniper or Sentinel, either or. I'd probably be using Patient Sniper. But let's go ahead and use explosive shot right here. Hopefully I won't mess it up. And right there, as you can see, I can explode it ahead of time, deal damage to all the targets. Let me see if I can see how much damage it did. Around 152,000 to all of them. The highest was 162,000, so it does do a lot of damage. But because it is a skill shot, it's something that I'll really only see in PvE, I think, instead of PvE. Because, you know, you're trying to hit someone from afar. You're a marksmanship hunter. And the whole idea is you staying far away, and you want to hit someone, and, you know, you're asking a lot for that target to still be there. The damage isn't nearly enough for it to be a skill shot and for you to hit it from 46 yards away. So, and for it to be on a 30-second cooldown. So, either they change this, which I doubt will happen now, we're way too late in the beta process, or this probably will be a PvE-only ability. So, with that, we go to the 75 tier. This is the old 30 tier. I like that they moved this up to 75 because you don't really need that kind of stuff down at the 30 tier. So in the 75 tier, we have Binding Shot, still functions the way it does on live. We have Wyvern Sting, still functions the way it does on live. And then instead of Intimidation, which they have given to, I think, Beast Mastery Hunters in this tier that they have as a Beast Mastery Hunter, they instead have Camouflage. You and your pet blend into the surroundings and stealth. While camouflage, you heal for 2% every second. I believe that was an enhancement of some type, the heal. So you're able to get that heal off, and it kind of allows you... I do not know. Let's check and see if the stealth... if you can still move while stealth. I do not know if that's going to be the case. Yes, you can. You can move while stealth. And if you notice, I have Thasdara, the 25% increased movement speed. And I have absolutely no movement reduction, which is pretty awesome. I'm taking Camo Shot. This is really cool. I had not tested this before, and I did not know I could do this. So you're going to be healing for a ton, and you can go into Camo. 1 minute cooldown. Oh my gosh, I'm taking this without question. This is way too cool. So there's no movement reduction. I thought there was going to be movement reduction. There's not. It's not there. Excellent. Camouflage is the talent to take in PvP. Though many would argue Binding Shot is a little too powerful to take in PvP. You kind of need it, so people may still want Binding Shot, but this is really strong. I mean, you have this healing on top of Exhilaration healing, on top of Thasdara buffed aspect of the turtle healing. There's a lot of healing you can do as a Marksmanship Hunter, which makes up for a lot of the stuff you have lost as a Marksmanship Hunter in terms of your traps. So, do not be disappointed. I think it's a really great change. 90 tier. This one is very much, it's like your old 90 tier. Murder of Crows is back. 30 focus, 1 minute cooldown. Functions like it does on live. It's still the same. Lasts 15 seconds. If the target dies by the time it's done after the 15 seconds, the cooldown is reset. Simple as that. Barrage, same thing. Same as before. 20-second cooldown, 60 focus, deals a lot of damage. It still functions the way it does. This is the one that's different. Volley is back. Originally, they had this as a ground targeted, just like the old Volley was. But then they realized that it doesn't really... It's kind of difficult in today's day and age of World of Warcraft. So they changed it a little bit. While active, your auto attacks spend 3 focus and also launch a volley of shots that hit the target and all nearby enemies for 20,000 physical damage. So this is actually pretty cool. I'll just go ahead and fire here, and my auto shots will begin doing volleys as well. It's not actually showing up. There should be a really nice visual, and I wonder if it's bugged, or let me go fire it off on a different target, because this is incredibly disappointing. Oh, sorry. This is, I'm stupid. This is a toggleable ability. 1.33 second cooldown, so you have to toggle it on for it to function. So I'm going to toggle it on now. So now every auto shot is going to cost 3, and you can see the little volley of arrows going down. So when you compare this with the volley and the mark shot, I really think that marksmanship hunters are going to be the kings of AoE. just between these abilities. Volley, everything all together. It's just you're dealing a lot of damage. And the mark shot, it's just all over the place. So I expect it to be the main AoE damage dealer. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this, but we'll see how damage numbers are tuned. But that is the new volley. Don't expect it to be seen in PvP. Barrage and Murder of Crows are just much better, by far. Barrage is very powerful. I've always enjoyed Barrage in PvP. Most people have chosen Glaive Toss, which is now gone. But Barrage, I think, is still really strong, and I'm glad that it's there. And it's probably going to be the PvPer's choice, Murder of Crows. And then in PvE, it's either going to be Volley or Murder of Crows. I don't think Barrage will be strong enough to be used in PvE. I could be wrong, though. We'll see how damage numbers go. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at these level 100 talents, which are really interesting. They got rid of the dumb stuff like Focusing Shot. Lone Wolf was moved to the top. Exotic Munitions, they decided to scrap because static buffs are boring. So, we have this now. First is Trick Shot. Aim Shot will now ricochet and hit all vulnerable targets for 30% of normal damage. If there are no vulnerable targets, the damage to your next aim shot is increased by 15%. So let's go ahead and use this here. And I'm going to use this right here to get, oh, whoop, nope. Okay, use Mark Shot. Okay, now everyone has vulnerability on them, and then I'll use this, and it should ricochet to everyone there. So, it's pretty strong. I'll do it again. Mark Shot, and then there, and then I'll use Aim Shot for the Trick Shot, and then you have the extra AoE splash damage. So that's pretty nice. Second ability here is going to be Sidewinders. This replaces your Arcane Shot and your Multi-Shot. Okay? Launches Sidewinders that travel towards the target, weaving back and forth, dealing 51,000 nature damage to each target they hit. Cannot hit the same target twice. It applies vulnerable to all targets hit. Okay? So this, you get 2 charges of it. It bypasses basically the whole auto shot will give you Mark Shot, and then that will give you vulnerability. It bypasses that. So I'm going to use this right here, and as you can see, it just launches out like that. And I use it right there. I got that, Mark Shot, and fired everyone. This is a fun ability, okay? It's going to generate a lot of, focus. So I can burn all of this, use Mark Shot, so forth, and go from there. There's a lot of potential with this here. And from what I've been hearing, this is actually the popular choice in what to use for in PvE at the moment. This is the popular choice. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it'll be popular in PvP. That's something that we'll have to see. Piercing Shot is just really strong. We'll get to it in a second, and I expect that to be taken in PvP. But this is definitely an option. It's a different way to play it. If you're used to, kind of, you no longer have to spam Arcane Shot or Multi-Shot. Instead, you can do this, which is interesting. 51,000 nature damage is way more than what Arcane Shot or what Multi-Shot's doing, but it's got basically a 5-second cooldown. But at the same time, you have the chance to do that right there. I don't know how much damage I did right there, but that was insane. And hopefully you get the idea of just how much I'm able to do with this ability. There's a lot. There's a lot of damage that can be done with this ability. It may... Oh, there we go. I was... on the actual leveling servers, they like to go down a lot more often than the normal servers. I'm surprised I got through the first video without anything happen, but this one was not as lucky. So, we are back here inside the game. Sidewinders is definitely an option that is a lot of fun for people to take, and I think it'll be an option that everyone likes to choose instead of the normal option. It'll be interesting to see how this integrates with something like... let me go ahead and use it from here so I can literally get everyone. And then Mark Shot everyone. That's really cool. It'll be interesting to see how it fits in with something like Patient Sniper. Because your vulnerable is 150%, and vulnerable increases the damage of your Mark Shot and Aim Shot. And it applies vulnerable to all targets hit. So this is something that's really powerful. Let's go ahead and use it here. Let's put Patient Sniper here, just so you can see what it can do. Vulnerable to all targets hit, and then you can use your aim shot off of that, and then your mark shot's just going to deal insane damage because of that. So maybe Patient Sniper can be taken if Sidewinders have been taken, but otherwise I don't expect that to be the case. But Sidewinders is really powerful. I'm not sure if it's popular in... if it's going to be popular in actual PvP combat. It is focused on a target, so you don't have to worry about it being a skill shot. But at the same time, things could be a little bit difficult in how things work, so I'm not quite sure on that, on whether or not it's going to be the popular choice or not. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at... so here's the confusing thing, first of all, before I switch off to piercing shots. It says it applies vulnerable to all targets hit. So I'm going to go ahead and use this here. And I have Hunter's Mark and vulnerable on the target. So you see just how things are different there. So normally, as multi-shot, what you have to do is you have to wait for the auto-shot hits to actually proc on multi-shot, and then multi-shot gives you to put mark shot on the target, and then mark shot gives you vulnerable. This bypasses that whole process and allows you to put vulnerable on the target instantly and then have mark shot deal tons of damage on top of that. Because it will, you know, mark shot hits every target with Hunter's Mark, and then when you're hitting so many targets with this, you're able to deal so much more damage with that, which is more fun. I'll go ahead and use it right here. And then as you can see right here, mark shot once again hitting all those targets, and they're all vulnerable right off the bat. So this could be interesting. I know I spent a long time on that, but that I believe required some explanation. So with that, let's look at the last ability here, Piercing Shot. A powerful shot, it's 30-second cooldown, uses 20 to 100 focus. Powerful shot that deals up to 387 physical damage to the target and up to 193 physical damage to all enemies between you and the target. This is so strong. I use this in while leveling so much, and I can't tell you how many times I saw someone just bursted down from like max health to 20% health in no time at all. And it's all because of Piercing Shot. So it's just a really strong ability. I would always open with aim shot and then use Piercing Shot right afterwards, and it would just do insane damage. I'm going to pull this up for you right here so we can take a look. We'll take a look at just how much damage it did. 466,000 physical damage from Piercing Shot, and then all of the other ones that were hit from it. It just does an insane amount of damage when it's at full max stacks. This is honestly the option I see in PvP, is Piercing Shot. Sidewinders is something that could be PvE or PvP, depending on the two. And then Trick Shot, I'm really not sure where it fits in, but it could fit in anywhere. So there's a lot of options here. I love the 100 talent here for Marksmanship Hunters. It's a lot of fun. So with that, let's look at the honor talents, because we are kind of getting late in here. Do know that leveling in PvP, in Warlords of, and not Warlords of Draenor, in World of Warcraft Legion, you'll start at level 1, as I am now, and you'll level all the way up to level 50, and it'll tell you kind of where you're going to get your next ability each time. So you level all the way up to level 50, and you level all the way down. You'll start with Quick Gladiator's Medallion, go to Quick Shots, Dragon Scale Armor, you'll work your way to True Shot Mastery, and then you'll start back up with Adaptation at 13, down to Spray and Pray at 28, and then 31 down to 46. So, you're going to build up in that progression. When you reach level 46, you'll have all of your talents, and then at level 50 you can Prestige. I believe in the most recent blog that happened just today, they basically said that basically I think the first item you get is a pet, and then the second item is cosmetic something, I can't remember, and then the third item is a mount. So at Prestige level 4 you'll have a pet, a cosmetic, an item, and a mount. So you can choose to Prestige and get those really cool vanity items, or you can just say, I'm done leveling my honor character, I just want to leave it where it is. And that's what many people may choose to do. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at the first tier. The first tier is all dealing about the Honorable Medallion. Honorable Medallion is the medallion that you'll get when you first enter a battleground. When you first enter a battleground, you'll get an Honorable Medallion, which is like a trinket, an heirloom trinket. It's a 3-minute cooldown trinket. You can choose Gladiator's Medallion to reduce that down to 2 minutes, but you will lose your Honorable Medallion. Your second option is adaptation. All loss control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or more will activate your honorable medallion, but it only causes it to incur a 60-second cooldown. So you lose your control over your honorable medallion, but it's a 60-second cooldown. You can use honorable medallion, but it'll incur a 3-minute cooldown and cause adaptation to cause a 3-minute cooldown. So do take note of that. Relentless is something that I only see tanks taking, or maybe a Resto Druid, and it replaces your honorable medallion, and the duration of incoming crowd control effects is reduced by 25%. So you got to be kind of careful if you choose that option. In the second tier, we have quick shots, which increases your haste by 6%. I think that's pretty good for a marksmanship hunter. There's initiation. Critical strike chance of your damaging abilities attacks increased by 30% on targets at or above 80%. Just try pairing that with careful aim. You have a 50% increased critical strike chance of your abilities at or above 80% with this ability. That makes it really, really, really strong. Initiation may be what you guys are going to go for, or it could be quick shots. I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of this last one here. Focus fire. Damage increased by 15%. Being attacked will cancel this effect for 8 seconds. I will say, if anyone takes this effect, this talent, it's got to be marksmanship hunters, because you're able to stay so far out of battle, so far out of combat, especially with a certain talent that we'll see later on, that why not take this? It's pretty strong. So this is really the only spec I really feel taking this. If you can keep yourself hidden and deal a lot of damage, it's a lot. Otherwise, you have two other options. This is the ranged DPS tier, so these are all the same for pretty much all ranged classes. Now we're getting into the the two hunter tiers. First option in the third tier is going to be Dragon Scale Armor. Magical damage over time effects deal 20% less damage to you. There's Cat-like reflexes. Critical melee strikes grant you 30% dodge for 4 seconds. Or survival tactics. Feigned death removes all harmful magical effects and reduces damage taken by 99% for 1.5 seconds. All three options are great here. Basically, you can choose based on what you're up against. And well, I'll get to that after we go through this next tier. But you basically get to pick your poison on what your best defensive. What do you have most trouble with, basically. In the next tier, we have Viper Sting. Your aim shot stings the target, reducing their healing done by 30%. Viper Sting is removed if the target casts a non-instant cast healing spell. The thing that sucks about Viper Sting on Marksmanship Hunter is it's applied through your aim shot, which really stinks. I would much rather it be applied through like your arcane shot. The other specs have it applied through their instant cast abilities. It sucks that it's applied through your actual castable ability as a hunter. As a marksmanship hunter. Scorpion Sting, your aim shot stings the target, reducing their physical critical strike chance by 50% for 6 seconds. And then there's Spider Sting, which is completely separate. Stings the target with a potent spider venom for 5 seconds, causing their next offensive spell cast to silence the target for 4 seconds. 1 minute cooldown. So with both these tiers, basically you can change talents before the actual match starts. You can look at your opposing team and be like, okay, we've got a lot of magic damage, so I'm going to go with Dragon Scale Armor. They have some healers that are going to be some tricky to deal with that I'm not going to be able to burst down very well. Okay, Viper Sting is what I want to go with. Or, maybe we have a lot of melee physical damage and we go with Scorpion Sting, Cat-like reflexes. So you kind of have your options there, choices of what you want to do with these 4 tiers maybe before the match starts, and you can change each time. You don't need tomes or anything like that to change your talents anymore. It's just straight up. You have to be, before the match starts, you can straight up change it right there, which is really nice. Now we're getting into the marksmanship abilities. As I mentioned, a lot of survival abilities have moved over to marksmanship. So we have TNT, reduces the cooldown of bursting shot by 10 seconds. So with the artifact weapon reduction, that basically brings this down to a 15-second cooldown of bursting shot, which is really powerful. However, you could take scatter shot. A short-range shot that deals 35% weapon damage, removes all harmful damage over time effects, and disorients the target for 4 seconds. Any damage caused will remove the effect, turns off your attack when used. 20-second cooldown. Scatter shot and bursting shot are both damage-oriented, get them out of the way, get some space between targets. So you have great options in this 5th tier in terms of, how you want to survive. The last option is Freezing Arrow. Fires a frozen arrow, incapacitating the target and all nearby enemies within 6 yards of the target for 8 seconds. Any damage caused will break the ice. So this is like a mini AoE. It's very small, but it's a mini AoE freezing trap back. With a trap launcher built in, but you actually target someone. It's a what, and so I guess the trade-off on that is that it's a 1.57 cast. It's not instant cast, but you cast it and you get a ranged CC that snares someone. Not sure. This may be useful. A lot of people would use freezing trap to just get away from someone, so the instant cast was kind of important. This is more like you're in the flag room, you really need to lock out the healer. This is what you use. You use a freezing trap, freezing arrow to get them out of the way while you deal DPS on the target. I'm going to be more partial to TNT and Scattershot, probably choosing Scattershot, so I have both Scattershot and Bursting Shot to really mess with people. I think it depends on just how far back Bursting Shot will knock someone back. That will kind of decide whether or not I choose TNT or Scattershot. So that leaves us with the last tier, and this one's kind of interesting. So True Shot Mastery reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 30 seconds, and True Shot also restores 100% focus. So True Shot is at a 2.5 minute cooldown. That's talented through the actual artifact weapon. This will bring it down all the way to 2 minutes. 2-minute rapid fire basically. It's not my absolute favorite ability, but 100% focus reduction means you're going to be able to spam off aim shots so quickly and deal a lot of damage with it. So it's a very strong option here. We have Spray and Pray. Dealing damage with Bursting Shot now grants Bombardment. Bombardment now also reduces the global cooldown of multi-shot by 5 seconds. So this is an ability that I feel should be in the PvE talent tree. Maybe they need to switch something out because it just doesn't make sense here. Having multi-shot on a 0.5 second cooldown can be really strong because you grant Bombardment, and Bombardment now baseline has multi-shot on a 0.5 second cooldown, which basically means that even if you're only hitting one target, multi-shot becomes almost as good as Arcane Shot in terms of generating focus. That's something that's really strong. There is a talent somewhere, I can't remember where it is, I think it's in the artifact weapon tree, where your critical hits off of Arcane Shot will give you double the focus back, so you'd be losing that. But if you hit any more, then if you're able to hit 3 targets, here I'm able to hit 4 targets. Of course they won't be this close. Targets still have to be pretty close for multi-shot. As you can see, I cannot hit those targets on the right. Let me go over here on these targets and see just who I hit from these targets, which are pretty evenly spread out. I hit 3 right there. So as long as you're able to hit 3 targets, you're able to get 6 focus out of it, and 3, basically you're generating 12 focus in the same amount of time you would generate only 5 focus as an Arcane Shot, more if it was a critical strike. So that's something to look forward, but honestly I feel like this talent should be in the next in the PvE tree. This should not be inside the PvP tree. I understand that dealing damage with Bursting Shot grants Bombardment. That part is PvP oriented, but the rest of it is all PvE oriented. And so maybe there will be some switches coming, but I'm not quite sure. With that, we have the ability that I think everyone will take. So they tried Focusing Shot and it stunk, okay? They've tried Power Shot and it stunk, okay? This is the final iteration and this makes sense. Sniper Shot. 50 focus, 6 second cooldown. 2.66 second cast, so it does take longer than aim shot to cast. However, take a sniper shot, firing a well aimed shot dealing 150,000 physical damage. It does way more than aim shot does, so it's worth it to use this instead. Increases the range of all shots by 40% for 10 seconds. This is so strong, there's no way a PvPer takes any of the others over this. True Shot Mastery, maybe. If you really want to do that burst damage. But this is absurd. I mean, it will change per map. Maybe worse on Gulch, you don't want it because you maybe, kind of inside a lot or something. But think of the other maps where you got just like lots of range. I can't even think of the name of it. Or let's use Eye of the Storm for instance. A lot of open range on Eye of the Storm. using sniper shot. Okay, this used to have a full 60-yard range on this, and they decided, whoa, that's broken, and they brought it down to the normal yard range that you have for all your other shots. But a 40% increased range on your shots. That is basically adding another, doing quick math in my head, for what my abilities are at right now, which is a 46-yard range. That's going to be approximately 18.2 or so. I'm a little bit off on that. 18.4 range increase, yard range increase. So you're looking at about a 65-yard range on your shots. You have 20 yards plus over every other specialization in the game. That applies to everything. Piercing shot, your wind burst, the sniper shot. You just have to keep it up every 10 seconds and you have insane range on your shots. It is so strong. Your multi-shot is a 65-yard range. Your mark shot is a 65-yard range. It's incredible. Okay? Increases the range of all shots by 40% for 10 seconds. I mean, that is really, really strong. You're approximately gaining, if I did the math right, 18.4 yards in range, which equates to 64.4 in terms of your range on your shots. It's just so strong. This is honestly what I'm going to take, and it's just going to make Marksmanship Hunter so much fun. This is what they should have been aiming for all this time. They've been trying to get this whole, like, oh, hey, you're that patient sniper that sets up this really powerful shot from far away. Well, the whole standing still was really stupid, because you can stand still at point-blank range, and that doesn't give the idea of a sniper. This does, and it's awesome. So we are kind of getting granted back our old talent tree where we could get our range up to 52 yards. Our own mastery is getting us up to that range. And then sniper shot just blows that to shreds. I don't know how high you'll actually get in World of Warcraft Legion. I would expect maybe, like I said, I'm already at 46 with the mastery. I may, if I stack mastery, you may be able to get up to 50, maybe higher. I don't know how high you can get. Let's just say, for instance, you get up to, let's be absurdly optimistic and say we get up to 52 yards, which I think was the old maximum range of what you could get, I think, through talents in the very old talent tree. So optimistic, 52 yards. That is an increased range of 20.8 yards. So you will be dealing damage at a 73-yard range, basically. That's awesome. That is so awesome to have as a Marksmanship Hunter. So with that, that is everything for Marksmanship Hunters and Hunters as a whole. This will be the last time you guys see True Shot Lodge, unless I do kind of a little tour of True Shot Lodge to show you around. This is the last time that you will see True Shot Lodge until the expansion actually hits on August 30th. The weather right now, you can't even see how far down it is. True Shot Lodge is way up in High Mountain, so you can't see everything. But this will be the last for Hunters. Hunters have been radically changed from what they were in World of Warcraft and Warlords of Draenor. I'm loving my Hunter. I'm loving the changes. PvP right now isn't quite balanced, so I can't really get a good feel of how they're going to be in PvP. But personally, survival takes some getting used to, and I'm loving Beast Mastery and Marksmanship a lot. They are way too much fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My voice is dying. I did them right back to back, both the first video for Marksmanship Hunter and the second video, so my voice is dying. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you guys in the next video, which I believe will be Mistweaver Monks. So I will see you guys next time. Tearless out.